there were a number of programs held in the agricultural fields of some farmers in the Belagavi and Bagalkot districts. I have now come forward to present to you some of the truths that I have personally witnessed. Their hardships are indeed considerable. I have thoroughly examined the matters that have reached truly staggering proportions. Regardless of their efforts, a good yield is not being produced. This is an extremely significant and pressing problem. Therefore, for the duration of the past week, in North Karnataka, specifically in the districts of Belagavi and Bagalkot, within the farms of a number of farmers, there were several programs. Therefore, in those programs, I have now come forward to present to you some of the truths that I have personally witnessed. Therefore, in this particular region, sugarcane is predominantly cultivated as a commercial crop. Consequently, to those who observe it from a distance, there appear to be vast acres of sugarcane. They would be under the impression that the farmers are at peace. However, when we approach and observe more closely, their hardships are indeed quite numerous. I have thoroughly examined the matters that have reached truly staggering proportions. To elaborate, the common complaint expressed by everyone is that the sugarcane yield is merely within the range of 30 to 40 tons. This is the case for most farmers. So as to why, what has transpired, that is a matter of which they are unaware. With respect to expenses, they are doing everything possible, investing considerable effort and expending their money. Despite all their efforts in terms of yield, a satisfactory yield is not being produced. I proceeded to explain the reason for this to the farmers one by one in a practical and methodical manner. I proceeded by observing that there is an abundance of water in that region. Consequently, the people do not understand how much water should be provided and how much should be withheld without being aware of that particular matter are continuously providing water. As a direct consequence of this incessant watering, their leaves are drying up. To clarify, a sugarcane leaf is supposed to mature, turn a yellowish color and then dry up. But this is not like that. The green leaves themselves are drying up. What are they thinking? They think that the water is insufficient and that is why it is drying up. And with this in mind, they continuously provide more and more water. But by continuously providing it, the situation has reached a point where they themselves describe it as soggy and waterlogged. This is an extremely significant problem. Please listen carefully to what I am about to say. In any given soil, there should be 45% of mineral particles. Furthermore, the soil must contain 25% water. There must be 25% air and 5% should be composed of organic waste, earthworms and various microorganisms. All of these together should constitute 5% of the soil. So it is like this, then it is correct. So what is the practice we have been following? By supplying an excessive amount of water, let us observe sequentially what the consequences are. This one, instead of supplying the necessary 25% of water, if you are providing it copiously in excess of 50%, the very first problem that arises is that there will be an acute shortage of oxygen within the soil. The areas where oxygen should be present become completely saturated with water. When the water fills up that space, oxygen becomes unavailable, and when oxygen is unavailable, the development of the root system is adversely affected. The reason for this is that roots absorb oxygen in order to respire. When oxygen is not available, the development of the roots ceases. Consequently, at the next stage, the second thing that occurs is the roots undergo decay. The reason is that when there is no respiration and no root development, it is inevitable that the roots will begin to rot. They rot and the roots turn black. You can observe this in your own fields. If you are providing water in such abundance, the first thing you should do is go and examine your roots. When you remove the roots and look, you will find that they are black. There will be no development of white roots. The third point is the roots completely lose the capacity to absorb the essential nutrients that are available in the soil. They lose it. Additionally, by providing abundant water, those nutrients get washed away and are lost, so it is wasted and the roots cannot absorb them. All this in a different form is also wasted. Consequently, this act of providing excessive water has a profoundly negative impact on the roots. Now for the fourth point. The soil structure deteriorates, which means the soil becomes compacted. This occurs because with repeated watering, the individual soil particles adhere to each other. It will no longer be loose. So what happens as a result of this problem? The complete soil structure becomes compacted and very hard. When the soil hardens, the subsequent point to consider is that after the soil becomes hard and there is no aeration inside, microorganisms are unable to survive there. This is because the being aerobic bacteria also need oxygen. Since the beneficial microorganisms are aerobic bacteria, when there is no air circulation and water becomes abundant in that area, a deficiency of microorganisms occurs. In that spot, leaving aside the beneficial aerobic microorganisms, the development of harmful microorganisms occurs, impacting the plant. A disease begins to form. It starts through the roots, and once that disease has started, all the physiological activity that was supposed to happen physically in the plant, all of those processes get damaged and its growth diminishes day by day. Along with that, due to reduced immunity, the pathogens multiply. This in turn attracts insects to that area. What does the plant do? Insects and insect-borne diseases also increase. So now insect-borne diseases have also increased. What do the insects do? On the leaves, they suck the chlorophyll present on the upper surface. This is what they suck from the leaf. When the leaf is sucked like this, the process of photosynthesis decreases. When the process of photosynthesis decreases, then within the sugarcane plant's body, that synthesis will not occur. This means that carbon dioxide, sunlight and water should combine to form a chemical reaction. Glucose is supposed to be released there. So in order to get a higher sucrose recovery in sugarcane, if there is good photosynthesis and glucose is released in that process, the recovery rate will be good. Once the pest infestation has increased, the photosynthetic process does not happen properly. So because of all these problems, what happens to the sugarcane? So yield decreases. It has to happen automatically. The roots are not right. It cannot take up nutrients. Photosynthesis is not happening. So why did all this happen? All of this happened because of providing excessive water. These problems started to escalate because aeration in that soil came to a halt. As soon as there is a shortage of oxygen, a chain reaction starts. One after another, all the systems begin to get damaged. Unfortunately, the farmers do not realize this. They must provide water because they get water for free and the electricity is also free. Unknowingly and in abundance, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ, motor runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. But you are unaware that this is causing a problem. You tell me, by creating this kind of trouble for yourself, you are growing 30 to 40 tons. If you calculate that growing 40 tons will be profitable for your sugarcane, there is no profit. This is because even if you have 1 acre of land and you are the only one from your family, you must supervise it daily. So your labor cost is 500 rupees per day. If you consider your family's labor, take 300 days. That is for 12 months. No, not 12. Let's take 10 to 11 months. So for nearly 300 days, the labor charge amounts to 1.5 lakh. So if you cultivate 40 tons, how much do you get? It comes to around 1,30,000. This means leaving aside the cost of fertilizer and everything else, even just calculating your labor costs, it is not viable in such a situation. By giving excess water to the sugarcane and thus destroying the soil's biodiversity, you are personally reducing the yield and there is no point in complaining about others. So because you are giving too much water, the soil has degraded, the soil is dead. Because this soil is dead, all the processes in the soil have stopped. In the same way, because the soil's biodiversity has been destroyed and root development has been stunted. The crop is falling prey to diseases, its growth is stunted, and the yield is reducing. Therefore, friends, what I am telling you is that you have caused a common problem. The entire soil has degraded. What if, to be of less now, the soil water has become hard and the crop seems to be drying up. So what you should do is, today, in 14 years, a product that has been proven throughout the country and in foreign countries, if you provide a biological input to the soil called Dr. Soil. In 15 to 20 days, it loosens the soil, promotes the development of earthworms, and helps the roots to grow while allowing water to percolate deep into the soil, creating a good environment for your crop to grow well. I would like to state that this product is in the number 1 position for creating the required environment. Do not delay, apply 5 liters per acre immediately to correct your farm and achieve a yield of 60 to 80 tons. Not just to achieve it, we have thousands of videos today on our YouTube channel of people achieving this. So this same YouTube channel, you subscribe to it, like it, and if you find it useful, share it with others and take this message forward like a movement. I ask for the cooperation of all of you and conclude my words. Thank you.